Okay, let's go.
What up, everybody? Gonna have to make this video pretty short because I keep messing up on it, so I don't even have as much time to work with now.
Lol. Bruh. It's like a fucking... Bruh. It's like a waterfall sound effect in the background. I love it. I don't know. I love all these videos. Like, I love how Sony fanboys can never... Can, like, just, like, they never have good audio. You know what I mean? It's funny.
Um, People keep going on about how it's so anti-consumer for these game consoles to have exclusives and whatnot, right?
Yeah, because it fucking is, you know. You're basically gatekeeping games away. Like, you're not... Like, the whole thing with exclusives is that you're basically saying, hey, you've got to spend $300 on this specific console, otherwise you can't play it. Otherwise we're going to lock you off. You don't have the option to play the game the way that you want to play it, which... You know, when they're expecting you to pay for the game, you should be able to play it the way that you want to play it on your preferred system, right? And also, it's just like, the problem I have with exclusives though is that really, like, everyone says like, oh, it's competition. I think it really handicaps competition in the console market for the simple fact that it makes the console's value determined by how many games the company can pay to not go on the other system, instead of, you know, how good the actual system is, right? Like, maybe it's time that they fucking innovated on the actual, like, console that you're buying.
how Nintendo's got Mario, Legend of Zelda, and stuff like that. While
I mean, no one really complains about Nintendo, because at the same time, it's like, you can emulate every single Nintendo game on basically any mid-ranged computer, so, you know. Not even mid-range, like, you can emulate them on a fucking laptop. I've done it before. Like, bruh. But yeah. It's like... It's stupid.
Xbox has got Halo and Gears of War, Forza, and stuff like that.
I mean, Xbox exclusives aren't necessarily exclusive, though, because they're also on, like, every other system, which is good. Like, I like how Xbox have done exclusives, but, yeah.
While PlayStation's got like Uncharted, God of War, stuff like that or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know what? If every game is available on every system, then some of these systems wouldn't sell as well as they do. I mean, I'm just saying.
No. Most people buy consoles not even to play exclusives. Like, here's the thing. Most people buy consoles to play free games, like Fortnite, or to play Call of Duty and shit like that. Like, most people aren't buying consoles for exclusives. Okay, most people play fucking multi-platform games. Like, that's the thing. Maybe they would sell a little less well, but at the end of the day, right? If every PlayStation game is on PC or Xbox or whatever, it's like, people are still gonna buy PlayStation because, you know, number one, there's people that are loyal to the brand. There's also people that just like, you know, PlayStation and its features. You know, and maybe if they didn't have exclusives, though, they would actually have to innovate on those features. Right? Like, this is the problem with exclusives, because they all turn to the argument of, oh, well, I wouldn't buy the console if there were no exclusives. So it's worthless. Okay.
And you honestly think that Nintendo, with their limited hardware, would sell as well as they do if you could?
I mean, Nintendo sell very cheap hardware, so I think they would be fine. But even still, like, you can get every Nintendo game on PC anyway. Like, you can emulate them. Okay? It's really easy.
Literally get Mario or Legend of Zelda or any other Nintendo exclusive
Yeah, it'd be fine.
on the other platforms.
But, okay, look. Even still, like, let's say Nintendo doesn't sell well, though. Let's say, like, a Nintendo console doesn't sell well without exclusives. Can I just ask, how the fuck is that my problem? It's not, like, here's the thing. It's not my fucking problem. Okay? Anyway.
Just saying. I mean, sure, you'd still have your Nintendo loyalists that would go out and buy the Nintendo system.
Bro, what about people that just want a cheap console? Like, a Nintendo Switch is like $300 Australian. It's very cheap. Like, Nintendo Switches are fucking cheap. I think people would still buy them for the simple fact that they are cheap.
But
same with any console. Like, there's just people that don't want to build... Like, there's just people that don't want to put up with PC shit. There's people that can't afford a PC. And consoles offer a great alternative to that. It's just facts. Can you beatbox? No, I cannot. I cannot beatbox for shit.
at the end of the day, I'm just going to say right now, for me personally, if I can get Mario on the Xbox One or any other Nintendo exclusive on the Xbox One, I would just stick with Xbox, because in my own personal experience, or I'd just stick with Nintendo if everything was available on it. Either way.
I don't think you could run everything on a Nintendo Switch. There's never, like, even if it's all games, all platforms, there's never going to be a day where you can play everything on a Nintendo console, unless they make their consoles severely more powerful. But here's the thing. How is this a bad thing? That's my question. You're essentially saying you wouldn't fucking buy it if there were no exclusives. Like, bro. It's not, like, that disproves your own argument. Because it's like, then you shouldn't have it. You know what I mean? If you don't actually like the system, like, not having exclusives would mean that game developers have to focus on the actual value they can offer with the system, and not just gatekeeping fucking exclusives behind it. You know what I mean? That's, like, okay, like, however you slice it, exclusives are anti-consumer.
Way though, I would definitely stick with one of those two systems.
Okay.
If every, game is available on every system there is.
Yeah? And is there a problem with that? You should have less systems. Like, all more systems is just more space in your house that you don't have. It's just more hassle. Like, not everyone, and as well, not everyone can afford all these systems. Like, that's the thing. It would be better if all games were available on every system, because then you could just choose one system. It's convenient. And you can choose the best system, not the one that gatekeeps the most games. Right? It's just stupid. Like, again, I'm gonna keep repeating this point. All exclusives does is just circumvent Sony, Microsoft, whoever, Nintendo, having to actually, work on their hardware. That's all it does. There's a nerd channel called Yorkies TV. There's a video about fixing PS controllers in this video. That nerd person doing some wide and funny stuff. Okay.
Because in my experience, when it comes to hardware, it seems like the Xbox and the Nintendo system always holds up better. And what I mean is I'm not having to deal with a bunch of system crashes and having to do a bunch of, system resets and everything else.
Well, if there weren't exclusives then, wouldn't less people put up with that kind of thing and be like, hey, Sony, go fix this? Like, you're saying we need exclusives, but the thing you're talking about is a hardware issue. Like, right there. Wouldn't it be good if there were no exclusives? Because then there would be more of an emphasis on the hardware. The actual product you're buying. Like, wouldn't that mean that PlayStation people would have to deal with less system crashes? Like, I don't know this guy's experience, okay? But also, I am gonna say that, Nintendo stuff isn't more powerful than Sony stuff. Like, Nintendo consoles are basically like... It's like, have you ever seen a Nintendo Switch? It's like the size of my cock, okay? Like, they're meant to run very simplistic games. So it's not a bad thing that Nintendo consoles aren't really that powerful. They're not meant to run powerful games. And that's fine.
Not having to deal with as much issues and whatnot, like hardware-wise. You know.
So you're saying, but what you're saying here, though, is your choice of buying an Xbox or buying a Nintendo console was informed by the fact that there are less crashes on those consoles. That's not exclusives. It's like, you're really gonna say, like, oh, exclusives matter, but, like, in a world without exclusives, okay? It's just like, how do these motherfuckers defend exclusives so adamantly? Like, oh, you know, exclusives, we need them, blah, blah, blah. You don't need them. It's, like, proper competition in that market would be that they actually have to improve the fucking hardware, not gatekeep games behind it. Again, like, seriously. And you've basically also... Yeah, it's contradictory. Like, you've basically just said that the reason you bought one over the other was because of the hardware. Not because of exclusives, either way. Bruh.
No, because whenever Microsoft, when they make a console, or when Nintendo makes their console, they make sure that their hardware works well. They don't, cut corners or anything like that, like what Sony does.
So wouldn't Sony cut less corners, though, if there weren't exclusives? If exclusives didn't exist, right? Sony's games were all multi-platform. Wouldn't Sony cut less corners? Yes, in a world without exclusives, get a PC. But if you're saying Sony cuts corners, aren't exclusives only contributing to that problem? Because it means that so long as they gatekeep games, they can just continue to cut corners. This makes no sense.
That's one of the reasons why I sold my PS4. I've had issues with every single PlayStation I've ever owned because Sony cuts corners, and this is something I actually found out, that they cut corners and they cheapen down on some of the hardware that they put in within their systems, and that's the reason why you're going to run into more system crashes and things like that when it comes to PlayStation as opposed to what you would on the Xbox or Nintendo.
Not in the Xbox 360 era, but we'll continue.
So yeah.
Even still, exclusives only contribute to that problem, my guy. Like, how the fuck are you gonna sit here, defend exclusives, but complain about a problem which exclusives would contribute to? Like, this is the equivalent of... What's the word? What's a good analogy I can use here? Like, I don't know. You know what? It's like you're trying to solve. Like, it's like you're complaining that people complain about exclusives, but then you're gonna complain about a problem caused directly by the things that people are complaining about. It's like people, it's like if you were to complain about something like, I don't know, like knife crime or gun crime, right? Like you were to complain about people complaining about that, right? All the time. Just like something like that. You know what? It's a bad example, but it's like, I don't know, I'm stumped for an analogy here, but my point is that exclusives are the problem here, my guy. Like, you want Sony to do better with their hardware? Get them to axe exclusives. Sup, Void? Welcome to the stream. Hey, yes. Hey, you nerds. Sup. Best content ever. Know it.
The only reason why Sony keeps, continuing to succeed in terms of their gaming systems is because of their exclusives.
Not technically true, but you're gonna, like, You're sitting here to you're gonna justify Sony cutting corners with the exclusives. Yeah, streamer complains about loot boxes, does a loot box opening video. It's just like that. It's stupid. Bro, how do I... But yeah, it's like, you're gonna complain that... Like, you're complaining about a problem directly caused by exclusives. And then you're trying to say exclusives are good. Makes no sense. Like, you make no sense, my guy.
I'm just saying, man.
You're just saying that the problem is exclusives, but, you know... Woo, we should defend exclusives, guys! Guys, we should defend. We should defend the problem. Okay.
And there's a lot of people. I'm not the only one. My brother's not the only one. My nephews are not the only ones. I've seen a lot of people that have literally transitioned from PlayStation over to Xbox because they're fed up with Sony's faulty hardware.
But wouldn't the exclusives save them? See, exclusives aren't really a big thing when it comes to the market, but also, if they're fed up with Sony's hardware, right? Like, you're talking about how all these people are fed up with Sony's hardware. You know, like, that's a problem, right? It's a problem. But your video is, we need console exclusives. You know, not Sony should fix their hardware problem. It's fucking stupid. Like, you do realize that if you shill and defend their exclusive practices and say like, oh, so it's like you're shifting the responsibility of Sony's problems from Sony to the consumer, because you're saying, yeah, the consumer should have to pay for this, not Sony, the person who did the wrong thing and cut corners with their hardware. That's essentially what you're doing. Like,
yeah, they're like, damn the exclusives. We'd rather have, you know, actual hardware that's going to stand the test of time.
Shouldn't that be how consoles compete? Shouldn't consoles compete by having hardware that stands the test of time, not hiding games behind, like, an additional paywall, saying, hey, do you want to buy this game for $60? Well, you know, you need to pay $300 first.
You know. So, yeah. And that's what I'm saying.
Oh, God.
If it wasn't for exclusives, the PlayStation probably wouldn't even be a thing, because
not really.
why would they be buying God of War or Uncharted or whatever other PlayStation exclusives there are on for the Xbox or for Nintendo?
And if PlayStation is not a thing because of their faulty hardware, right? Let's say, boom, every game goes to every platform, PlayStation can't compete anymore, which is not going to happen, right? But still, PlayStation can't compete anymore because their hardware is complete shit. Whose fucking fault is that? Genuinely, whose fault is that? Is that our fault as consumers? Like, should we be the ones who have to pay for Sony's mistakes of cutting corners with their hardware? Oh. You know what I mean? Like, it's not our problem. Like, bro, imagine if I justified, like, it's just, how do you justify faulty hardware with, oh, well, they need exclusives? Get them to fix their fucking hardware, my guy. Stupid. My God.
So yeah. Not to mention you have the people who Well, since they prefer to achievement hunt or trophy
Hmm.
hunt, if it was possible to get
Yeah. Who doesn't like a bit of achievement hunting? I love it.
Nintendo exclusives on other systems, you'd have people going out and buying those, games for the Xbox or PlayStation instead
Is that my problem?
of Nintendo.
What, for trophies? Maybe Nintendo should just add an achievement system. Um, Hell yeah, crossplay with your Xbox cousins too. Let's fucking play together. Not that I'm your cousin, but you get the idea. Okay. Bro. Bro. How do you think, like, here's the thing. Like, consoles shouldn't be competing for who can gatekeep more games. It should be who can offer more value with their hardware. You know? Like, it's just... And if people don't buy games on Nintendo because they're on other systems, who cares? Then the other system, maybe Nintendo should just make their system a little better. You know what I mean? They should actually compete in terms of hardware.
And here's the thing.
I'm just repeating myself, but, like, fucking hell.
Whenever one company starts doing bad because of not having any exclusives to help keep their company afloat, like what Sony does,
Sony would do fine without exclusives. Like, they're putting all their games on PC now, and they're making more money than ever. Like, they're doing fine. Okay?
or what Nintendo has done for a very long time, then some of these companies would probably stop making systems altogether because they wouldn't have enough funds or whatever to be able to keep making systems.
Well, that's tough. Is that my problem? No.
Which means...
And, you know, like, people stop... Let me just put it this way. If the only reason that you're gonna buy a PlayStation is because they're gatekeeping a fucking game behind it, shouldn't buy it. Genuinely. And it's like, it baffles me that people will defend this kind of, like, this shit. It baffles me. It genuinely does.
that we'd have less of an option when it comes to systems, and then...
Well, you've got less of an option when it comes to games. Like, actually, no, you've got less of an option when it comes to systems. Because if you want to play this game, that's only on PlayStation, there's only one system you can buy. You have less options.
It would cause a company to basically make a monopoly.
What? What company is gonna fucking monopolize the game industry if there's no exclusives? Genuinely. Like... Jesus. Like... What? Who is gonna monopolize? Like, seriously. And also, it's like, I actually think it would be the opposite. Because all exclusives do is just encourage one company to just spend more money on, you know, fucking shit up and being just being anti-consumer. Like, they should be competing. Like, here's the thing, and firstly, the PC market is literally a market where you compete, right, by what hardware is better. And that market isn't monopolized. So, I don't know, whatever.
Basically, instead of having to pay $300 or $400 for a brand new console, you'd have to be paying about double to triple that amount.
For what? No, you fucking wouldn't. Dude. At that point, if you had to pay triple the amount for a console that you do now, people would just buy a PC. Like, at the end of the day, they're always, like, the console market will always have competition with PC. That's just how it is. Okay? Like, if a console is the same price as a PC, why the fuck aren't you gonna just buy a PC?
So, Yeah. So at the end of the day, we need exclusives.
No, you fucking...
Whether y'all want to admit it or not, whether y'all want to...
Maybe you just need Sony to fix their hardware problems and actually offer value.
Whether you like it or not, we need exclusives.
I'm not convinced.
So, yeah. It's the whole purpose. It's the whole reason why game systems are as cheap as they are, because there's options. And like I said, if
There's still going to be options. Even if there were only one game console, there'd still be options, because you can still buy a PC and build a PC. And no game system on Earth is ever going to dethrone PC. It's a fact.
if every game is third party, if there is no such thing as exclusives no more, then some of these systems couldn't sell as well as they do. I'm just saying. I truly...
And if without exclusives, a system sells like dog shit because it is dog shit, is that my problem? Like, is that genuinely... Why should I be the one? Why should we, as consumers, be the ones who pay for the fact that, you know, Sony or whoever doesn't fix their hardware problems, or, you know, doesn't want to make a better system? Why is that our responsibility? It isn't. AMD, Nvidia, and Intel have their advantages and disadvantages to all of them, and that's how it should be. Exactly. Like, it should be. Because here's the thing, you don't get any exclusive games with a graphics card. Like, that's just how it is. You get different features that, like, assist you, but it's just like, that's how it should be. Consoles should be competing by how much value the system itself can offer. Right? Not by how much they can gatekeep. Like, just enjoy games, my guy.
believe that Sony would, tank, and go under if you can get...
They wouldn't go under.
Any of their exclusives for the Nintendo or the Xbox. Because...
You wouldn't be able to get their exclusives through Nintendo. And also, I think at this point, if every game was on every system, I think more people would still buy PS5 simply because it's a more popular brand.
Like I said, their
Like, it's selling more.
hardware is faulty as all hell.
Then shouldn't they fix their faulty hardware? That, like... Oh my god. If their hardware is faulty as all hell, why the fuck are you making excuses for them? Genuinely. That's idiotic. Like, that is so fucking stupid to just be making excuses for Sony's faulty hardware. They should fix their hardware.
So,
Jesus.
yeah.
That Reddit modder though, oh bro. I mean... I don't want to be mean here, but he does kind of look like a Reddit moderator.
Anyway.
In GTA.
So, you all take care. God bless.
I'm not making fun of people for their physical attributes. In GTA.
Peace.
Right. Cool. That video was kind of pointless. I mean, I still just... It makes no sense how you could justify that kind of shit.